All right, hello guys. Welcome to the experiment here. Usually this is a comic book channel. It will continue to be, but I want to be mixing it up and adding things. So for those of you who watch me for the comic book stuff, you might be in a little shock. For those of you new to the channel, stick around. There'll be more little hiking and nature videos. And in the meanwhile, enjoy the scenery. I'll start talking around the 1 minute and 50-second mark. All right, it's a beautiful day out here. My choices were sit around the house, sitting at work all day, going to the gym. We're coming out here on basically just a little convenient and easy hike. Probably this is Lake Whitten, Hazle County. And it's probably about, I don't know, 2 to 3 miles just going around this lake. This is the kind of thing that I wouldn't call it an adventure, I'd call it convenient, just for those times when you can't really go on a real hike, big hike. But I guess it just depends on how much you hike and how much experience you have and what you're able to do. So, it's my first video doing something like this. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. Something a little different. Hopefully you can hear me. So you come out to do these things and it ends up clearing your mind a little bit, getting quiet, but as you can see there's tons of people around. It's kind of wild for me because in the area I grew up, in the southwestern part of Virginia, Cumberland Mountains, what have you. But this was a Tuesday for us as kids. I don't know if we didn't call it hiking. It was just going out and playing. And we ended up doing miles through the woods, living out there. And it's kind of continued. And then about 20 years ago with Survivor Man, 2002, that's what I blame it on. We ended up having tons of people showing up on trails and stuff that you're just sort of like, who are these people? What are they doing? And you're kind of worried about them. Didn't know how to pace. They were all showing up in fancy clothes. And I, for one, if you go back and look at a bunch of my pictures, probably on Instagram and Facebook, you'd see I would hike in Chuck Taylor's. It was like a 2 to 3 hour hike or mile hike. But you get out here and it gets quiet. And then probably about 2010 around here, they started having trails getting cut and building little wood bridges on them. I'm like, they're kind of taking away the sense of adventure. And then those people that were wearing fancy clothes to come out and look like they're from the wilderness started having these ski poles, which really kind of confused me. And I came to find out that these were walking sticks. I'm like, why can't you just get one from the side of the trail. That's what we used to do. And we used them for going up the hills. We also used them in case we ran across snakes. A snake will focus on the stick. Oh, this is beautiful out today. But when you get out here, you start thinking about things if it gets quiet enough, which I'm kind of defeating the purpose today. Yeah, here's one of those wood bridges I was talking about. But anyway, some of the things I think about are people hiking to get away from things, and people hiking and going out in the world and things to find themselves. It's all about looking inward, hiking in and out of yourself, metaphorical. I think one of the things that happens is when you get out and there's adventures and there's challenges. And I'm not going to Amber Heard you and say that those are synonymous. And adventure has a sense of fun, childlike fun, at least for me. The stakes aren't too high. You might get wore out. But, you know, in the long run, you're safe. You don't feel like you're really in danger. And then you have challenges. And in those challenges, you end up having some stakes. And you get to find out about yourself emotionally, mentally, physically. And you'll be amazed to find out how much those three go together. And I think a lot of people need to challenge themselves more. Now, I've been like camping and hiking since I was a kid. And by no means am I an expert on anything. It's just part of the culture, I guess. Like I said. But a lot of the challenges are out. A lot of people will consider this little 2-mile, 3-mile walk around a lake an adventure. Good for them. It's new to them. It gets them out there doing something. But the challenges that come about really build character and teach you about yourself. I think when I was 23, that was probably the most time I spent in the woods. I think I added it up between going through basic training in the military, what I did on my own, living in my car for 3 months. I spent 7 months in the woods total, if you added up all the days, give or take. And it was good for me. I was young, it was an adventure, and it was challenging me. Would I do that now? No. No, my sense of adventure is gone. And that's what's sad. Robin Williams, before he passed away, had a quote where he said, we all have a little bit of crazy in us. We need to hold on to that crazy. I disagree with that. If that works for you, that's awesome. But for me, it's don't lose that sense of adventure. As I'm creeping up on 50, I'm starting to have those little thoughts creep in that I've heard other people have. You're getting old, a little bit of doubt. Can you keep doing this? Then you go out in the world and you see people hiking. And I've run across 70-year-old men with their walking stick that they pulled off the side of the trail. Zero fear, taking their time, having an adventure. But with their age, it's a new challenge. A lot of people talk about the American dream. Fill in the blank with whatever country you want. And I think you know what I'm talking about. And for years, where I was so poor, growing up, monetarily, if you will, and actually being the adult in the house, I actually stayed out of the house as much as I could to come out here in the woods. And so like I said, it feels more like culture than it does a hobby. But when I was in that home, I was way too young to be the adult. Yet I was. I'd come out, stay out as much as I could. I could be a kid. And it built character and everything like that. When I lived in my car for 3 months when I was 21, by the time I was 27, married, kid, house, 2 cars. The American dream, right? But I was miserable. I mean, I'm just flying through this trail. But I was miserable. Why? Because I didn't pick up a walking stick enough on the side of the trail and go out and find myself. Like I said, it's irony to me that we go miles and miles and miles out into this world hunting for ourselves, but we never look inward. So time went by. I let go of that American dream, end up out of that marriage, and have a whole new adventure and challenges. And I really finally grew up in a way about responsibility instead of the lack of when I come out. And that's the problem when you reach the American dream. You think it's a destination and you don't have to challenge yourself anymore. There's no more adventures. That's a big part of why it didn't work out the first time. So there's a little story I like to tell about a guy named Reckless Eric that has a song called Whole Wide World. Coming up on another one of those bridges. But he did a song of talking about going around the whole wide world trying to find the girl he's meant to be with. 20 years after going around the world touring and singing songs and everything, he comes back to his hometown, up on the very stage that he was on, and he sees a girl on stage performing his song, and the whole wide world is 2 chords, and she's playing them both completely wrong. Oh, the trail's grown in. Anyway, he gets up there, has a little tiff with her, and they've been married 20 years, going around the world trying to find that girl, and there she is in his hometown. It's amazing stuff. And that's kind of what happens. You need to slow down, find out who you are through challenges, and keep that sense of adventure and know the difference. And then by finding yourself and having that peace, you finally have something to bring up on the table for whatever you want to do. I was probably about 40 years old before I tried to do that seriously. Around the time that they started cutting these trails and adding bridges, taking away some of the challenge. Funny how that works. So, yeah, there's all kinds of people out here now. But, yeah, just kind of saying some of the most dangerous and messed up people I've ever seen who want to hold on to that little piece of crazy instead of getting help and learning to live with it and cope with it and stop letting it hinder them. Some of those people are the people that refuse to adapt and change. I've run across people who actually think the whole world should change instead of them adapting to it. And the world is just nature, and nature just is. Now the whole point of that is that getting to find yourself and know yourself and finding your niche in life and having that peace of looking out for yourself, I think, is acceptance. Accepting that you find that balance, blazing your own trail on a hike, and then finding those limitations that are realistic in you and around you and what you can and can't do. Some people need little bridges on a hike. Some people need metal walking sticks. And some people need a wooden stick. And some people are so reliable they don't need any of this. You won't find answers like that or thoughts like that until you look inward. And sometimes it's getting out in nature, being in the peace and quiet, and finally making it far out enough on a trail of all these other people trying to find their little adventure in themselves to where you can think. You wear your body out. It's a nice humid day. I am zero tired, having broke a sweat, but I hear my breathing. Now we're in a challenge. I'm out here by myself. I hear cars in the distance, but there's a lake between us. But I finally reached that point. My body is releasing those good chemicals in my brain. I feel pretty good. So guys, I'm gonna finish my hike. Like, sub, share. You want find yourself a little adventure, and then go on a little challenge. Just because you've reach what you think may be the end. Find some new accomplishments to go after. Keep it a journey and not a destination.